All right, let's just dive right in. Happiness, it has become a total modern obsession, right? We're always being told we should be chasing it, but what if the very things we're running after are actually leading us in the wrong direction? So in this explainer, we're going to break down what the science really has to say about finding a happier life.
It's a really simple question, but man, it's a powerful one. I mean, we are just bombarded with messages that the brand new phone, that fancy designer bag, or, that perfect Instagram-worthy vacation is going to be the thing that finally makes us happy. But is that where lasting well-being actually comes from?
I mean, this is the story we're all sold, isn't it? The idea that a higher standard of living, buying more stuff, and just having more material wealth, that those are the keys to a happy life. You see it everywhere, from the ads we watch to the goals we set for ourselves.
And here is where it gets interesting. Here's the twist. Despite the fact that we're richer and have more stuff than any generation before us, the research shows our overall happiness levels have pretty much flatlined. Actually, things like depression and anxiety are on the rise. So clearly, the story we've been sold just isn't adding up.
So this brings us to a really fundamental question. What even is happiness? In this first part, we're going to look at a much more useful definition, one that goes way beyond just a temporary good feeling.
A much more helpful way to think about happiness is this idea of flourishing, a term that was really popularized by the Buddhist teacher Matthieu Ricard. Look, this is not about being joyful 24/7. That's impossible. It's about building this deep, underlying sense of ease and resilience that can be there even when life is throwing its inevitable curveballs at you. It's a way of being, not just a fleeting feeling.
Okay, so how do we get there? Well, luckily, there's a pretty practical path forward. Based on tons of research, the New Economics Foundation pinpointed these 5 simple, evidence-based actions that are actually proven to improve our well-being. Think of them as the basic building blocks for creating that sense of flourishing we were just talking about. All right, so we've got a new definition and a basic framework. Now, let's get into some of the really surprising science that totally challenges our most common beliefs about what makes us happy. This is one of the most fascinating findings in all of happiness research. We tend to think that these huge life events, the wedding, the new baby, that big promotion, are going to permanently change how happy we are. And they do, but only for a little while. After that initial spike of joy, we tend to drift right back to our normal or baseline level of happiness. And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it all. While we're often so focused on chasing these massive milestones, our long-term well-being is actually much more influenced by our mindset, our genetics, and, most importantly, the small, consistent things we do every single day. Which brings us to our final and maybe most practical section. Let's build on that last point and look at a real toolkit of strategies you can start using, like today, to cultivate that sense of flourishing in your own life.
All right, tip number 1. If you have some extra cash to spend, here is a super powerful shift in how you think about it. The research is really clear on this. Spending money on experiences, like a concert, a trip, or learning a new skill, gives you a much more lasting boost to happiness than just buying another material object.
So why is that? Well, for one, experiences often bring us together with other people, which is a massive happiness booster. They also get woven into the stories we tell about ourselves. They become a part of who we are. And honestly, it's way harder to negatively compare your unique memory of a trip to someone else's, unlike, comparing phones or cars.
This next tip is all about just embracing reality. See, true happiness isn't about trying to get rid of sadness or melancholy. It's about understanding that a full, rich life contains the entire spectrum of human emotion, the good and the bad.
So how do we actually do this? Well, first, we just have to accept that down days are normal. They're part of the deal. We can also try to zoom out and view our lives on a longer timescale, kind of like Aristotle suggested, seeing happiness as something measured over a whole lifetime, not just moment to moment. And something as simple as keeping a journal can be an amazing tool for just recognizing the natural ups and downs of our feelings.
Okay, this one is huge. It's probably one of the most consistent findings in all of happiness research. Our relationships with our family, our friends, and our community are just absolutely vital to our well-being. At the end of the day, life is, in so many ways, about our connections with other people.
Oh man, never underestimate the power of this one. There is something just deeply restorative about connecting with the natural world. And it really doesn't matter if it's some grand national park or just a small city park on your lunch break. Just making a conscious effort to notice the nature around you has proven psychological benefits. It just works. And that brings us to one of the simplest yet most powerful tools in our entire toolkit: gratitude. Just regularly taking a moment to focus on what you're thankful for can seriously boost your optimism and happiness. Simple things like keeping a gratitude diary or just making it a point to say thank you more often, they're incredibly effective places to start.
You know, if there is one single message to take away from all of this, it's this right here. Happiness isn't some destination you finally arrive at after chasing all the right things. It's a skill. It's a practice, built through small, intentional habits that build a deeper sense of well-being over time.
Which leaves us with a final, really powerful idea. Maybe the ultimate secret isn't about chasing the feeling of happiness at all. Maybe, as a psychologist Viktor Frankl noticed, happiness is just something that happens. It's a byproduct that comes when we instead focus our energy on living a life of purpose and meaning. So what would that look like for you?